Get him out of here now! Cassandra's voice sliced through the clinking glasses and forced laughter of the Whitaker Mansion's gala. Her manicured nails gripped a champagne flute, eyes blazing as she glared at Ethan, her 8-year-old son, trembling in the corner. The boy's hands flapped wildly, his breath hitching in sharp gasps, overwhelmed by the chandelier's glare and the crowd's chatter. Grace, the black maid from Harlem, knelt beside him, her calloused fingers gently steadying his shaking shoulders. "Breathe, Ethan, just breathe," she whispered, her voice a soft anchor in the storm. Cassandra's heels stabbed the marble floor as she stormed over. "I said now, Grace, he's embarrassing us." Her lips curled, venom dripping from every word. "Do you know who's here? Senators, CEOs, people who matter? And you let him act like this?" Grace's jaw tightened, her teeth grinding as she shielded Ethan's small frame. "He's not a prop, ma'am. He's your son, and he's struggling." Her words were steady, but her pulse raced, a fire kindling in her chest. Ethan's whimpers grew quieter, his fingers clutching her sleeve like a lifeline. "Don't lecture me," Cassandra snapped, cutting her off. "You're the help. You don't get to talk back." She leaned closer, her perfume choking the air. "Take him upstairs or you're done. Fired, out on the street." The guests nearby turned, their whispers sharp as knives, slicing through Grace's dignity. Ethan's eyes, wide and glassy, darted between his mother and Grace, his small body curling inward. Grace rose, her knees aching from the cold floor, and lifted Ethan into her arms. His weight was feather-light, his breath uneven against her neck. "You're okay, sweetheart," she murmured, ignoring the stares boring into her back. Cassandra's voice chased her, relentless. "Hurry up! Don't make a scene!" As Grace carried Ethan toward the staircase, a glass shattered behind them. Cassandra's, flung in frustration. The crowd gasped, but she didn't flinch, her authority unchallenged. Grace's heart pounded, her fist clenching as she fought the urge to turn back and scream. Ethan's tiny hand squeezed hers, and she swallowed the rage, her steps steady but heavy. At the base of the stairs, she glanced back. Cassandra was already laughing, charming a senator, her mask of perfection seamless. The injustice burned in Grace's throat, a bitter taste she couldn't spit out. Ethan's fingers traced circles on her arm, a silent plea for safety. She tightened her grip, vowing to protect him, no matter the cost. The gala's noise faded as they climbed, but the weight of Cassandra's words clung to Grace like a damp cloth. In the dim hallway, Ethan's breathing slowed, his eyes fixed on her. "Don't let Mommy be mad," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Grace's chest ached, her resolve hardening like steel. She wouldn't let his mother's cruelty break this boy. The distant clink of glasses echoed from below, a reminder of the world that valued image over love. Grace's lips pressed into a thin line, her heart racing with a promise she couldn't yet voice. She carried Ethan to his room, the door closing behind them with a soft click, shutting out the chaos but not the fight that lay ahead. Grace's arms tightened around Ethan as the door clicked shut, sealing them in his dimly lit bedroom. The boy's sobs muffled against her shoulder, his small fist clenching her uniform. "Shh, it's over now," she cooed, her voice a steady rhythm against his chaos. But Cassandra's threats echoed in her mind, a whip cracking relentlessly. Fired, out on the street. Grace's teeth ground together, her spine straightening like iron forged in fire. She set Ethan on his bed, his stuffed bear tumbling to the floor. Kneeling, she cupped his tear-streaked face. "Look at me, Ethan. You're not a burden. You're a gift." His eyes, wide with fear, locked onto hers, his flapping hands slowing under her gentle hold. "Draw it out," she urged, pulling a sketch pad from his nightstand. Ethan's fingers grasped the crayon, scribbling jagged lines that morphed into a stormy sky, his way of screaming without words. Downstairs, the gala's laughter pierced the walls, a cruel reminder. Grace's pulse hammered, her fists balling as she fought the storm inside. She wouldn't crumble, not for Cassandra's sake. Rising, she smoothed her apron, her breath evening out. "Stay here, sweetheart. I'll be back." Ethan nodded, his crayon pausing mid-stroke, a silent trust in his gaze. Grace descended the stairs, her steps deliberate, each one a defiance. The crowd parted as she re-entered the ballroom, whispers slicing the air like shards. Cassandra spotted her immediately, her eyes narrowing to slits. "What are you doing back here? I told you." "You told me to handle it," Grace cut in, her voice low but unyielding, halting Cassandra mid-sentence. "And I did. Ethan's safe now. But you're the one making him hide." The words hung heavy, a blade drawn in a room of silk and gold. Guests shifted, their champagne forgotten, eyes darting between the poised hostess and the unbowed maid. Cassandra's face flushed crimson, her nails digging into her palm. "How dare you? You're nothing. A cleaner from the slums. Pack your things and get out." She thrust a finger toward the door, her voice a thunderclap that silenced the room. Grace didn't flinch, her chin lifting higher, her eyes burning with quiet fury. "I'll go," Grace said, her tone even, laced with steel. "But remember this. One day you'll see what you've thrown away. A boy who needs love, not a perfect picture." She turned on her heel, her back straight as a soldier's, ignoring the gas rippling through the crowd. Cassandra's retort died on her lips, her authority cracked for the first time. Grace marched to the servants' quarters, her heart pounding but unbroken. She grabbed her coat, her few belongings stuffed into a worn bag. Flashes of Ethan's drawings haunted her, his silent pleas for understanding. She paused at the mirror, her reflection fierce, unbent. "This isn't the end," she whispered to herself, her knuckles whitening on the strap. Outside, the night air slapped her face, the mansion's lights glaring behind her. A cab idled at the curb, summoned by a sympathetic butler. As she slid in, the door slammed with finality. "Harlem," she told the driver, her voice steady. The car pulled away, the Whitaker estate shrinking in the rear view. But in her mind, Ethan's face lingered, his trust a weight she couldn't shake. Grace's lips pressed tight, her resolve crystallizing. She left with dignity intact, her silence a prophecy echoing in Cassandra's perfect world. The city lights blurred past, but her path forward sharpened, away from the cruelty, towards something unbreakable. In the quiet of the ride, Grace's fingers traced the edge of a crumpled drawing Ethan had slipped her earlier. A family under a rainbow, crude but clear. Her eyes stung, but she blinked hard, refusing tears. Strength wasn't in staying. It was in walking away unbroken, leaving the powerful to face their hollow empire. The cab rattled over potholes, Harlem's streets welcoming her back. Grace exhaled, her shoulders easing for the first time that night. She'd faced the storm and emerged whole, but deep down a spark ignited, a vow to return, not for revenge, but for the boy who needed her light. James slammed his fist on the mahogany desk, the echo ricocheting through his study like a gunshot. "What the hell did you do?" His voice boomed at Cassandra, his tie yanked loose, veins bulging in his neck. The gala's remnants, empty glasses and wilted flowers, littered the room, a mockery of the evening's facade. Cassandra spun, her gown swishing, her eyes flashing defiance. "I handled it. That boy was ruining everything." "You call screaming at our son handling it?" James's words cut sharply, his chest heaving. He had arrived late, catching the tail end of Grace's departure, her back rigid as she vanished into the night. Ethan's absence gnawed at him, a void in the opulent space. "Where is he now? Hiding because of you?" Cassandra's laugh barked out, brittle and cold. "Upstairs where he belongs. And that maid. Gone. Good riddance." She poured herself a scotch, the ice clinking like accusations. James's hands shook as he paced, his mind replaying Grace's final words. "One day you'll see what you've thrown away." Her voice haunted him, steady amid the chaos. He stormed upstairs, his shoes pounding the carpeted steps. Ethan's door creaked open, revealing the boy curled on his bed, clutching his bear, eyes squeezed shut. "Ethan," James whispered, kneeling, his knees cracking against the floor. The boy's breath hitched, but he didn't stir. James's throat tightened, guilt coiling like a snake in his gut. On the nightstand, a crumpled drawing caught his eye. Ethan's scribbles of a family under a rainbow, figures holding hands. Grace's influence screamed from the page, her patience etched in every line. James's fingers traced the colors, his heart twisting. She helped you with this, didn't she? He murmured, though Ethan remained silent, his small body tense. Digging deeper, James opened the drawer, his hand brushing old toys and papers. A folded letter tumbled out, yellowed with age. Ethan's childish scrawl on the envelope. To Daddy. His pulse quickened as he unfolded it, the words jagged. Mommy says don't tell. Secret hurts. No signature, no date, just a child's plea, cryptic and raw. James's breath caught, his mind racing. What secret? His fingers gripped the paper, knuckles whitening. Downstairs, Cassandra's voice drifted up, charming the lingering guests with false apologies. James's jaw clenched, rage simmering. He had trusted her, buried in board meetings and deals, ignoring the cracks in his home. Now this letter, a whisper of something darker, pierced his denial. Ethan's whimpers pulled him back. The boy stirred, peeking through lashes. Grace gone? Ethan whispered, his voice fragile. James nodded, his eyes stinging. But she'll come back, I promise. The lie tasted bitter, but resolve hardened in his chest. He tucked the letter into his pocket, its weight a burning reminder. Grace's departure wasn't just a loss. It exposed the rot beneath their perfect life. Ethan's hand reached out, small and trusting, and James grasped it, his grip fierce. The mansion's silence pressed in, broken only by distant laughter from below. James sat on the bed, pulling Ethan close, the boy's head resting on his shoulder. Memories flooded him, missed bedtimes, overlooked drawings, all sacrificed for empire building. Grace had seen what he hadn't, Ethan's quiet strength, buried under Cassandra's demands. As the clock ticked, James's mind churned. That letter, innocent yet ominous, planted doubt like a seed in fertile soil. What had Cassandra hidden? His free hand fisted, determination igniting. He wouldn't let this slide. Ethan's breathing evened, lulled by his father's rare presence. But James's eyes stayed open, staring into the shadows. The night deepened, the gala winding down. James rose, tucking Ethan in, his resolve sharpening like a blade. He descended, the letter burning in his pocket, ready to confront the woman who had shattered his world. But deeper questions gnawed. What secret lurked in those childish words? The answer waited, coiled and unseen, demanding pursuit. Cassandra met him at the landing, her smile forced. All good now? She asked, her tone light. James's stare pierced her, his silence heavy with unspoken accusations. The air thickened, the first crack in their facade widening. He brushed past, his steps purposeful, the hunt for truth beginning in earnest. You're a fool if you think firing her fixes anything. James's roar shattered the silence of the Whitaker study, his fist slamming the desk as Cassandra whirled, her scotch splashing. Grace was the only one who saw Ethan for who he is, not some flaw in your perfect image. His eyes drilled into hers, the letter from Ethan's drawer crumpling in his pocket, its secrets fueling his fury. Cassandra's lips twisted, her grip tightening on the glass. She's trash from Harlem. What does she know about our world? She stepped closer, her breath hot. You were never here, James. I kept this family afloat while you chased billions. James cut her off, his hand slicing the air. Enough! I'm done ignoring this. He grabbed his coat, storming past her, his shoulder brushing hers hard enough to jolt her back. Cassandra's shout chased him. Where are you going? To beg a maid! But he didn't stop, the door slamming like a final verdict. His Mercedes roared to life, tires screeching on the driveway gravel. The city lights blurred as he sped toward Harlem, his knuckles white on the wheel. Ethan's face haunted him, those wide eyes, the drawing's plea. Grace's words echoed, one day you'll see what you've thrown away. His jaw locked, teeth grinding. He had thrown away the one person who bridged the gap to his son. Traffic snarled, horns blaring, but James weaved through, his mind a whirlwind. The letter burned against his chest. Mommy says don't tell. Secret hurts. What had Cassandra buried? His foot slammed the accelerator, the engine growling in response. Harlem's streets emerged, narrower, alive with late-night vendors and flickering neon. He parked abruptly, the car jerking to a halt outside a community center, its sign reading, Harlem Youth Arts Hub. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed harshly, kids' laughter cutting the air. James's suit drew stares, his presence an intrusion. A receptionist eyed him warily. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Grace Thompson," he barked, his voice clipped. "She worked for me." The woman's brows furrowed, her arms crossing. "She's volunteering tonight, but she's busy." James pushed past, his strides long and urgent. In a back room, Grace knelt amid a circle of children, crayons scattering the floor. Her hands guided a boy's drawing, her smile warm, unbroken by the night's wounds. "See? Your lines tell a story," she said softly. The kids leaned in, absorbed. James burst in, his breath ragged. "Grace!" Head snapped up, the room freezing. Grace rose slowly, her eyes narrowing to slits. "Mr. Whitaker, what are you doing here?" "I came to fix this," he said, stepping forward, his voice low but fierce. Grace's chin lifted, her fists clenching at her sides. "Fix? You let her throw me out like garbage." He interrupted, his hand raised. "I was wrong. Ethan's upstairs, alone, drawing pictures of you." Grace's breath hitched, her teeth biting her lip. But she shook her head. "Words don't erase humiliation." James pressed on, cutting her protest. "Please, come back. Not as a maid, as family." The word hung, raw and desperate. The children watched, wide-eyed, as Grace's shoulders tensed, her resolve cracking under his gaze. She turned away, her voice steady. "Why now? Because your gala flopped?" James grabbed her arm gently, releasing when she yanked back. "Because I saw the drawing. And this letter." He pulled it out, thrusting it forward. Grace's eyes scanned the scrawl, her face paling. "Ethan wrote this?" "Yes," James snapped, his urgency spiking. "There's more to this. Secrets Cassandra hid. Help me uncover it. For him." Grace's fingers trembled on the paper, her heart pounding, visible in her neck. The room's air thickened, the children's murmurs rising. Grace exhaled sharply, her eyes locking on his. "One chance, but if you fail Ethan again—" James nodded, cutting her off. "I won't." They stood there, tension coiling, the first thread of alliance forming amid the crayons and chaos. Outside, James paced as Grace gathered her things, his mind racing ahead. The drive back loomed, but so did the confrontation waiting at home. Grace emerged, bag slung over her shoulder, her steps hesitant but firm. "This isn't forgiveness," she said, sliding into the car. James revved the engine, the city swallowing them once more. As they navigated the streets, silence stretched taut. James glanced at her. "Tell me about your son." Grace's head snapped up, her eyes flashing pain. "How do you know?" He shrugged. "The way you handle Ethan, it's personal." She nodded slowly, her voice dropping. "Lost him to autism complications. Years ago." James's grip tightened on the wheel, empathy surging. "I'm sorry." The conversation flowed in bursts, Grace's stories of loss mingling with James's regrets. Ethan's letter sat between them, a silent bomb. By the time the mansion loomed, a fragile bond had sparked, forged in shared pain, aimed at truth. James killed the engine, his eyes meeting hers. "Ready?" Grace's jaw set. "For Ethan? Always." They stepped out, the door's creak echoing like a challenge. Inside waited Cassandra, oblivious to the storm approaching. But as they crossed the threshold, Ethan's voice called from upstairs. "Grace!" The boy's hope pierced the air, pulling them forward, the journey's end just the beginning of redemption. "Get out of my face! You don't belong here!" The volunteer's shout exploded in Grace's small apartment, her fist raised at a hulking man harassing a young mother in the hallway. Grace charged forward, her body blocking the doorframe, eyes blazing. "Touch her again, and you'll regret it." The man snarled, his breath reeking of booze. But Grace's stance held firm, her muscles coiled like springs. He backed off, muttering curses, slamming the outer door as he fled. Grace turned, her hands steadying the trembling woman. "You're safe now. Come in." The Harlem tenement buzzed with life, kids' shouts echoing from cracked walls, the scent of frying onions wafting up. But in her cramped living room, Grace had carved a sanctuary. Drawings plastered the walls, vivid strokes from children she'd mentored, each one a testament to resilience. She guided the woman to a worn couch, her movements efficient, born of years dodging punches life threw. "Tea?" Grace asked, her voice a calm blade cutting through fear. The woman nodded, tears spilling. "He won't stop coming back." Grace's jaw tightened, her teeth clenching as she poured hot water, steam rising like her suppressed rage. This was her world, raw, unpolished, far from the Whitaker polish. After the gala's humiliation, Grace hadn't crumbled. She'd plunged deeper into her volunteer work at the Arts Hub, her days a whirlwind of guiding hands over crayons, coaxing stories from silent kids. Her own loss fueled it, her son taken too soon by autism's cruel grip, his memory a fire in her chest. A knock rattled the door. Grace's spine stiffened, but she opened it to reveal Jamal, a lanky teen from her class, his backpack slung low. "Miss Grace, check this out." He thrust a sketch pad forward, pages bursting with urban heroes, figures defying shadows. Grace's fingers traced the lines, her heart swelling. "Powerful, Jamal. You captured the fight." He grinned, but his eyes darkened. "Like you did last night? Heard about that rich lady firing you." Grace's lips pressed thin, her fist balling briefly. "Doesn't matter. We keep going." Jamal nodded, inspired, and dashed off, his energy a spark in the dim hall. Grace sank into her chair, the woman's story unfolding in halting words. Abuse, escape, starting over. Grace listened, her nods sharp, her advice like daggers. "File the report. I'll go with you." Her own scars throbbed, widowed young, scraping by in Harlem's grind. Channeling grief into action, she pulled out a faded photo from her wallet, her son, smiling mid-draw, his eyes mirroring Ethan's. Ethan. The name stabbed her. James's plea echoed, "Come back, for him." Her chest heaved, breath short. She wouldn't return for pity, but the boy's drawings haunted her. Those rainbows, promises of family she craved. The phone buzzed, yanking her back. A hub coordinator's voice crackled. "Grace, we need you tonight. More kids are coming." She agreed, her resolve hardening. Rising, she grabbed her coat, her steps purposeful. The streets outside pulsed. Vendors hawking wares, music thumping from open windows. Grace wove through, her presence commanding respect, nods from neighbors acknowledging her quiet battles. At the hub, chaos reigned, kids scattering supplies, laughter clashing with cries. Grace dove in, her hands organizing, her voice commanding order. "Focus here," she barked at a disruptive boy, then softened, kneeling to his level. "What's eating you?" His story spilled, bullies like the ones she'd faced. Grace's eyes flashed, her grip firm on his shoulder. "Draw it. Turn pain into power." As the session peaked, a girl handed her a drawing, a woman shielding a child from storm clouds. "That's you, Miss Grace." Grace's throat tightened, her fingers trembling on the paper. Strength wasn't invincibility, it was standing when knees buckled. Hours later, exhaustion hit, but Grace lingered, cleaning up alone. Her mind wandered to Ethan, the letter's cryptic hurt. Secrets like that devoured souls. She knew. Her son's final days replayed, ignored symptoms, delayed help. She wouldn't let Ethan suffer the same. A faint knock. Grace opened the door to find James again, his suit rumpled, eyes desperate. "I couldn't wait." She crossed her arms, her stance unyielding. "This is my world, Mr. Whitaker. Real struggles, not your polished lies." He pushed forward, cutting her off. "I saw it. The way you fight for these kids. Ethan's like them. He needs you." Grace's breath caught, her teeth grinding. The drawing from the girl lay nearby, a mirror to her soul. She exhaled sharply. "Fine, but on my terms." James nodded, relief flooding his face. As he left, Grace clutched the photo of her son, her heart pounding. Returning to the mansion meant facing Cassandra's venom. But for Ethan, for the boy who echoed her lost child, she'd charge into the fire. The hub's lights dimmed, but Grace's fire burned brighter, ready to bridge worlds and unearth buried truths. "You think you can just barge in and buy my forgiveness?" Grace's voice cracked like a whip, her body blocking the hub's doorway. eyes locked on James in a glare that could shatter glass. Her fists clenched at her sides, nails digging into palms, the sting sharpening her edge. James halted mid-step, his suit jacket flapping from the rush, breath heaving. "Grace, listen!" "No!" She cut him off, stepping forward, her shoulders shoving air between them. "You let her call me trash, from Harlem, like my blood's beneath yours." The words sliced, her chest rising fast, fury boiling from years of swallowed insults. James's face flushed, his hand raised to interrupt, but she pressed on. "Ethan needs more than your guilt. He needs truth." James's jaw locked, teeth grinding as he forced words out. "That's why I'm here. The letter, it's proof Cassandra hid something." He thrust the crumpled paper forward, his grip iron. Grace snatched it, her eyes scanning the scrawl again, Ethan's pain leaping off the page. Her breath hitched, knuckles whitening. This is abuse, hiding his needs for her image." "Exactly," James snapped, cutting her reflection short. "Help me expose it. Come back." Grace's head shook fiercely, her feet planted like roots. "On my terms. No more maid's quarters. I sit at the table, as Ethan's guardian." James nodded sharply, his eyes narrowing. "Done. But we start now." She crossed her arms, her stance unyielding. "And you face her. Tell Cassandra her game's end." James's fist balled, his pulse visible in his neck. "I will. Tonight." The promise hung, electric, as Grace's resolve wavered, her heart pounding for the boy caught in the crossfire. They moved inside, the hub's scattered crayons crunching underfoot. Grace grabbed a chair, slamming it down. "Sit." James obeyed, his knees buckling slightly, the weight of his empire meaningless here. She paced, her steps sharp, voice low and fierce. "Ethan's drawings, they scream what words can't. Your wife's secrets? They'll destroy him if we don't act." James leaned forward, interrupting her stride. "What do you know? About secrets like this?" Grace halted, her teeth biting her lip hard enough to draw blood's metallic taste. "My son. Doctors ignored signs. I fought alone." Her voice cracked, but she straightened, fire reigniting. "Won't let Ethan pay for your blindness." James's eyes softened briefly, but he pushed back. "Then join me. We dig together." Grace's nod was curt, her hand extending the letter back. "Alliance, but break it, and I'm gone for good." He took it, their fingers brushing, a spark of uneasy trust igniting. As they talked, details spilled. Ethan's hidden therapies, Cassandra's demands for silence. Grace's insights cut deep, her experience a knife-carving truth from lies. James's interruptions waned, his respect growing, his own regrets surfacing in clipped confessions. "I built fortunes, but lost my son." Grace's response was swift. "Rebuild. Start with him." Hours blurred, the hub emptying around them. Grace pulled out a photo from her pocket, her lost boy smiling. "This is why I fight." James stared, his throat bobbing. "Ethan could be him. We owe them both." The bond tightened, forged in shared scars, ready to wield against the mansion's shadows. But mid-sentence Grace froze, her hand diving into her bag. "Wait." She extracted a faded envelope, yellowed like the letter. "Found this in my old files. A note from a nurse about ignored autism signs. Matches Ethan's case." James grabbed it, eyes widening. This links to Cassandra's doctor friends." Grace's lips curled. "Our first weapon." The discovery jolted them, pieces clicking. James's voice rose. "We confront her with this." Grace cut him. "Not yet. Build the case, or she twists it." Her caution reigned, her strategy sharp as a blade. They plotted in whispers, her world bleeding into his, Harlem's grit arming their assault. As dawn crept, James stood, his posture straighter. "Tomorrow we return, together." Grace's handshake was firm, her grip unbreaking. "For Ethan, fail him, and you lose us both." He nodded, the door swinging shut behind him, leaving her in the quiet hub. Grace sank back, her body aching from the tension, but her mind raced. The envelope burned in her hand, secrets unfolding. Cassandra's web loomed larger, but so did their fight. Ethan's face flashed, innocent, trusting. She'd bridge the divide, unearth the rot, no matter the cost. The first light pierced the windows, casting long shadows. Grace rose, her steps resolute, ready for the mansion's reckoning. But deeper mysteries waited, coiled in the documents, demanding exposure. "Stay out of family business, you Harlem intruder!" Margaret's hiss exploded in the kitchen, her bony finger jabbing Grace's chest, eyes bulging with venom. Grace recoiled, her back hitting the counter, coffee mug shattering on the tile. Shards flew, but she didn't flinch, her fists balling tight, nails cutting palms. "Touch me again, and you'll regret it," Grace shot back, her voice a low growl, shoulders squaring against the assault. Margaret's lips curled, her uniform starched stiff as her spine. "You think you're equal now? Whispering secrets to Mr. Whitaker?" She leaned in, breath sour, cutting Grace off mid-breath. "I saw you two last night, plotting like thieves. Cassandra warned me about types like you." Grace's jaw clenched, teeth grinding, rage surging hot in her veins. "Types? Say it plain. Black woman from the streets." "Exactly," Margaret snapped, her hand slapping the counter, utensils rattling. "You don't belong. This house runs on order. My order." She whirled, grabbing a phone from her apron, fingers flying over keys. "One call to Cassandra, and you're gone. Again." Grace lunged forward, her hand clamping Margaret's wrist, twisting just enough to halt the dial. "Not this time. Ethan's hurting because of lies like yours." Margaret yanked free, her face twisting scarlet. "Lies. I protected this family, hid the boy's fits, his doctor's notes, for her." The admission slipped, sharp as a blade, but she barreled on, interrupting Grace's gasp. "You dig. You destroy everything. Cassandra's right. You're poison." Grace's pulse hammered, her free hand snatching the envelope from her pocket. The nurse's note. "This? Proof you both buried his care." Margaret's eyes widened, snatching at it, but Grace jerked back. "Too late. James knows." The older woman's breath rasped, her claws raking air. "He'll side with us. Blood over beggars." She shoved past, shoulder slamming Grace's, storming toward the hall. Grace pursued, her steps pounding, grabbing Margaret's arm. "Admit it. You helped Cassandra silence the doctors." "Silence?" Margaret whirled, her slap whistling past Grace's ear. "We saved the reputation. Ethan's weakness would have ruined us." Grace dodged, her elbow cracking against the doorframe, pain shooting up her arm. But she pressed, voice fierce. "Weakness? He's your charge, family." Margaret laughed, bitter and short. "Not mine, I'm the gatekeeper. You? Disposable." The confrontation escalated, Margaret's threats piling like bricks. "I'll tell the staff. Spread that you're stealing, scheming." Grace's chest heaved, her eyes narrowing to slits. "Try it. Truth cuts deeper." Margaret's phone buzzed, Cassandra's name flashing. She answered, voice switching to honey. "Ma'am, the maid's back. Stirring trouble." Grace overheard Cassandra's bark. "Handle her. Permanently." Margaret hung up, smirking. "See? You're done." But Grace's resolve hardened, her fingers flexing. She wouldn't break. Not without a fight. Margaret stormed off, her heels clicking like gunfire, leaving Grace breathless, the envelope crushed in her grip. The kitchen fell silent, but tension coiled tight. Grace's arm throbbed, her mind racing. Margaret's slip about the doctors confirmed alliances, darker than suspected. She texted James. "She's in deep with Cassandra. We push harder." His reply buzzed. "Coming now." Grace paced, her heart thundering, ready to dismantle the web. But Margaret's parting glare lingered, a promise of war. Grace's lips pressed thin, her stance unbowed. The mansion's underbelly stirred, enemies multiplying, but so did her fire. "You think your threats scare me, old witch?" Grace's snarl ripped through the tension, her hand slamming the envelope onto James's desk, eyes locked on him like lasers. Margaret's parting venom still echoed. Protected the family? But Grace shoved it aside, her pulse thundering. James leapt from his chair, papers scattering, his face etched with fury. "What did she say?" Spill it. Everything, Grace cut him off, her finger jabbing the nurse's note. She admitted hiding Ethan's records for Cassandra. We start digging. Now. James's fist pounded the wood, veins bulging. Damn right. That photo from his bag. The doctor in it. Track him. Grace nodded sharply, her teeth clamping down, adrenaline surging as she yanked open a drawer, files spilling out. They dove in, hands flying through documents, Grace's fingers tearing envelopes, James barking orders. Check the dates. Matches the letters hurt. A page fluttered out. A medical form, Ethan's name scrawled, crossed out in red ink. Grace's breath hitched, her knuckles whitening on the paper. Look, therapy recommended, denied, signature, Cassandra. James snatched it, his roar exploding. She blocked his help. Grace interrupted his rage, her voice slicing. Not alone. Margaret's prints all over this. Memos to shred files. James's eyes narrowed, his chair scraping back as he stood. We confront the doctor. Address here. Grace's nod was fierce, her bag grabbed in one motion. Drive, I'll call ahead. The mansion blurred as they stormed out, doors banging, Ethan's distant drawing session with a nanny ignored in their haste. The car screeched onto the highway, James's grip iron on the wheel. What if he clams up? Grace's lips curled. We break him, for Ethan. Her phone buzzed. Anonymous tip from a hub contact. Old nurse knows more. Meet at the clinic. James swerved lanes, horns blaring, but Grace pressed. Turn here, now. At the rundown clinic, the nurse, gray-haired, wary, opened the door a crack. Who sent you? Grace shoved forward, her shoulder forcing entry. Truth about Whitaker, boy, spill. The nurse's eyes darted, her hands twisting a rag. Cassandra paid to bury reports. Autism therapies, ignored. James cut in. Proof. The nurse hesitated, then pulled a hidden flash drive from her drawer, thrusting it over. Copies, take it. Grace plugged it into her laptop in the car, files loading fast, her fingers flying over keys. Emails. Margaret coordinating deletions. Dates match Ethan's crises. James's curse filled the cabin, his foot slamming the gas. Back to the house, more in my safe. Grace's agreement was curt, her mind racing ahead, piecing clues. The photos doctor linked to payments, the nurse's drive revealing bribes. They burst into the study, safe cracking open under James's code. Inside, bank statements, redacted but damning. Grace's eyes scanned, her finger tracing lines. Transfers to the doctor, hush money. James's hands slammed the safe shut. She starved his care for appearances. Grace's rage matched, her fist crumpling a receipt. And Margaret laundered it. Fake charity donations. A noise, footsteps. They froze, Grace's hand darting to a letter opener. Grip tight. Margaret appeared, her smirk twisting. Snooping? Cassandra knows. James lunged, grabbing her collar. You buried his future. Margaret twisted free, her laugh short. Prove it. But Grace thrust the drive forward. We have. Margaret's face paled, her retreat hasty, the door slamming. Undeterred, Grace and James pressed on, her contacts yielding more. A former maid's testimony whispered over the phone. Saw Cassandra yell at doctors. No records. James's call to a PI cut through. Tail the doctor, now. Reports flooded in. Meetings, hidden files. Grace's exhaustion mounted, her eyes burning, but she pushed. Connect the dots. Ethan's drawings, storms. His pain was visualized. Midnight hit, coffee mugs piling, Grace's voice hoarse. Here's the chain. Diagnosis at 4, therapies proposed, Cassandra vetoes, Margaret shreds, doctor paid off. James's nod was grim, his pen scratching notes. Motive, her social climb. No flawed kid. Grace's slap on the table echoed. We need the original charts. Hospital vault. They infiltrated at dawn, Grace's lockpick skills from Harlem days flashing, her hands steady despite the risk. Alarm silent, they rifled cabinets, hearts pounding. Got it, James whispered, pulling a folder. Inside, full reports, Ethan's potential therapies detailed, stamped denied. Grace's breath escaped in a hiss, her fingers trembling on the pages. This could have changed everything. Back in the car, evidence stacked, Grace's resolve steel. Confront Cassandra next? James's grip tightened. After one more lead, the doctor's confession, they sped to his office, bursting in. The man bolted upright, papers flying. Who are you? Grace slammed the folder down. End this. Testify. He stammered, but James cut in. Or we expose the bribes. Sweat beaded on his brow, his nod reluctant. She forced me. Threats to my license. Triumph surged, Grace's fist pumping. Tape it. The confession rolled, damning words captured. As they left evidence in hand, Grace's phone buzzed. Ethan's nanny. Boys drawing you both. Mrs. Grace. Her heart twisted, fueling the fire. We're close, she said, voice fierce. But shadows deepened. Margaret's earlier threat lingered, her alliance with Cassandra hinting at retaliation. Grace's eyes scanned the road, paranoia creeping. They're watching. James's agreement was curt. Let them. We strike first. The drive back crackled with tension, clues solidifying into a weapon. Grace's mind whirred, piecing the final puzzle, ready for the revelation that would shatter the facade. You buried my son's life for your damn pride. James's bellow shattered the doctor's office, his fist crashing onto the desk, papers erupting like shrapnel. The doctor recoiled, chair scraping back, sweat beading on his forehead. Grace surged forward, her hand clamping the flash drive, eyes drilling into him. Confess it all, every lie, the doctor stammered, his tie loosening under trembling fingers. I didn't want to. James cut him off, leaning in close, breath hot. Wanted? You took bribes. Grace's voice sliced through. The files prove it. Therapies denied, Ethan's pain ignored. The man's face crumpled, his shoulders slumping as he collapsed into the chair, hands covering his face. It started small, he whispered, voice breaking. Cassandra came in furious. Ethan's diagnosis would ruin her circles. James's knuckles whitened on the desk edge. Ruin. Keep talking. The doctor nodded jerkily, his words tumbling out. She demanded I alter records. Said the boy was fine, just quirky. But the test showed severe autism needs. Therapies, specialists. Grace's teeth ground audibly, her fists balling. You let her? For money? The doctor shook his head, but James interrupted. Don't lie. The man flinched. Not just money, threats, my practice, my family. Margaret handled the payments, shredded originals. Grace's breath hitched, her hands shooting out to grab his collar. Margaret, details! He gasped, pulling back. She coordinated everything. Falsified denials, paid off nurses, Cassandra's plan, hide it all, pretend normalcy for galas, deals. James's roar filled the room. My son suffered alone. The doctor nodded, tears streaming. The secret hurt him worst. Untreated episodes, isolation. Could have been managed, but she chose image over him. Grace's chest heaved, her mind flashing to her own son's fate. Ignored signs, lost time. Proof, she demanded, voice steel. The doctor fumbled in a drawer, pulling a hidden ledger. Here, transactions, dates, all tied to Whitaker funds. James snatched it, pages flipping under his furious scan. Millions diverted, for silence. The revelation hit like a hammer, Grace's knees buckling slightly, but she steadied, her grip on the drive tightening. This is betrayal, not just neglect, criminal. James's eyes blazed, his fist crumpling a page. She robbed him of a life. The doctor slumped further. And Margaret, her enforcer, destroyed evidence, intimidated staff. Grace's interruption was swift. Names, witnesses. The doctor listed them, voice quaking, nurses, aides who'd fled. James recorded it all, his phone capturing every word. We'll bury her with this. The air thickened, the weight of the truth pressing down, Ethan's innocent face haunting their minds. As the confession wrapped, Grace's hand trembled on the ledger. Ethan could have thrived, instead pain. James's nod was grim, his arm brushing hers in shared resolve. We end this. The doctor whispered final words. One more. Cassandra's motive deeper. Family legacy, her own hidden shame. But Grace cut him. Enough. We have it. They stormed out, evidence clutched tight, the office door banging shut. In the car, silence reigned briefly, then exploded. She knew, James yelled, wheel pounding under his palm. All along. Grace's response was fierce, and covered it, for power. Her fingers traced the ledger's edges, heart pounding with the enormity. Years of deception, a child's future stolen. Back at the mansion, they pored over the hall, cross-referencing. Grace's eyes widened at an entry. Look, payments to a private investigator. Watching Ethan? James's curse echoed, to ensure silence. The truth unfolded layer by layer, Cassandra's web vast, entangling doctors, staff, and even distant relatives. Grace's resolve hardened, her body leaning forward. We confront tomorrow, full force. James agreed, his stare distant but deadly. Ethan's drawing from earlier lay nearby. A family fractured, now explained by the horrors revealed. Grace's throat tightened, her vow silent. No more suffering. The night deepened, and documents spread like battle plans. Grace's exhaustion battled her fire, but victory neared. Yet the doctor's hint of deeper shame nagged, a shadow promising more storms. You think your slum tricks fool me, intruder? Margaret's venom spat across the dim storage room, her hands shoving Grace hard against the shelves, bottles clattering to the floor. Grace's back slammed into wood, pain shooting up her spine, but she twisted free, her fists swinging wildly. Touch me again, and you're done. Her voice echoed sharply, eyes blazing as she lunged, grabbing Margaret's collar, yanking her close. Margaret's nails raked Grace's arm, drawing blood, her laugh a jagged blade. Done? You're the one trapped. She wrenched away, her foot kicking a crate, tools spilling, screwdrivers, ropes tumbling like threats. Grace dodged, her breath ragged, heart hammering. Admit it, you buried Ethan's files. Margaret cut her off, her shove sending Grace stumbling into a wall, dust choking the air. Buried? I saved this house, Margaret snarled, interrupting Grace's gasp, her hand snatching a heavy wrench from the shelf. Cassandra's orders. Shred everything. Your digging ends here. She swung, the tool whistling past Grace's ear, metal grazing skin. Grace's teeth clamped down, blood taste flooding her mouth as she ducked, her elbow cracking against Margaret's knee. The older woman howled, staggering but charging again, her free hand clawing Grace's face. Harlem trash, stay down. Grace's rage ignited, her knee driving into Margaret's gut, air whooshing out. Trash? You're the poison. They grappled, bodies slamming shelves, jars shattering, shards slicing Grace's palm. She ignored the sting, her grip iron on Margaret's wrist, twisting the wrench free, metal clanging to the concrete. Margaret's eyes widened, her retreat cut short by Grace's shove. James knows, genetics, bribes, all of it, Grace pressed, her voice fierce. But Margaret interrupted with a kick to the shin, pain exploding up Grace's leg. He'll believe me, loyal servant over you. She bolted for the door, but Grace tackled her, bodies crashing down, rolling in debris. Pinned, Margaret's teeth bared, her whisper venomous. Cassandra's coming. You'll vanish. Grace's hold tightened, knees digging into Margaret's chest. Not before you confess. But Margaret bucked, her head smashing Grace's chin, stars bursting in vision. Grace reeled, blood trickling from her lip, giving Margaret the edge. She scrambled up, grabbing rope from the floor, looping it around Grace's neck in a flash. The cord bit skin, air cut off. Grace's hands clawing fabric, lungs burning. Die quiet, Margaret hissed, pulling tight, her weight pressing down. Grace's vision blurred, panic surging, but memory flashed. Ethan's drawing, her son's face, fueling the fight. Her elbow jabbed back, cracking ribs, Margaret gasping, grip loosening. Grace rolled free, coughing, her throat raw, and grabbed the wrench. Enough! She swung low, clipping Margaret's ankle, and the woman crumpled with a scream. The doctor's tape. Your name everywhere. Margaret crawled back, her eyes wild. Lies! Cassandra protects me. Grace towered, wrench raised. Protect? She's using you. Margaret's lunge caught Grace off guard, her nails gouging eyes, blinding pain. Grace staggered, wrench dropping, Margaret scrambling for the door. Help! Intruder! Her shout pierced the walls, but Grace recovered, tackling again, pinning her face down. Scream louder! James hears the truth. The struggle intensified, Margaret's kicks landing hard on Grace's ribs, breath knocked out. Grace held her arms, locking Margaret's sweat-stinging cuts. The ledger! Payments to you! Margaret twisted, her bite sinking into Grace's forearm, blood flowing. Grace yelped but slammed her knee down, subduing. Stop fighting, it's over. Footsteps thundered outside, James bursting in, door flying open. Grace! His eyes took in the chaos, wrench in hand as he yanked Margaret up. What the hell? Margaret spat. She attacked me. Grace cut her. Lies! She tried killing me. James's grip tightened on Margaret. His voice thundered. Evidence says you're the killer of Ethan's future. Margaret's defiance cracked, her body slumping. Cassandra made me. Grace rose, wiping blood, her stance unbroken. Tape it. All. James nodded, phone out, recording as Margaret's words spilled under pressure. Bribes, shreds, yes. The confession sealed, but danger lingered. Cassandra's shadow loomed. Grace's wounds throbbed, but victory edged closer. James bound Margaret's hands with the rope. Police next. Grace's nod was grim, her eyes scanning for more threats. The room's mess mirrored their battle, but resolve burned brighter. As sirens wailed distance, Grace's her hand pressed her neck's bruise. Escape narrow, but truth nearer. Yet Cassandra waited, her retaliation brewing like poison. Release me, you filth! Margaret's shriek pierced the storage room chaos, her bound wrists twisting against the rope as James hauled her up, his grip bruising her arms. Grace staggered back, blood dripping from her gouged forearm, her chest heaving fire. She's lying! More evidence hidden! Her voice cut sharply, eyes scanning the shattered shelves, tools glinting in the dim light. James's shove pinned Margaret to the wall, his knee digging into her thigh. Where? Talk! Margaret's teeth bared, her spit flying. Never! Cassandra burns you both! Grace interrupted, her hand clamping Margaret's jaw, forcing eye contact. The ledger mentioned a safe. Yours? Margaret's eyes flickered with betrayal, her struggle renewed, elbows jabbing air. Grace released, whirling to search, her hands ripping open cabinets, papers cascading. Here! Locked box! James yanked Margaret forward. Key! Now! She resisted, her kick glancing his shin, pain flaring, but he twisted her arm higher. Give it! Her cry echoed as she relented, key tumbling from her pocket. Grace snatched it, lock clicking open, contents spilling, tapes, receipts, a journal bound tight. Her fingers flew through, heart slamming. Look, entries. Paid doctor $50K, silence on genetics. James's curse exploded. More bribes! Margaret lunged, her bound hands clawing, but Grace dodged, shoving her back. Sit down! The hunt intensified, Grace's wounds ignored, blood smearing pages. A tape labeled See Meetings caught her eye. She jammed it into a nearby player, voices crackling. Cassandra's clipped tone. Shred the tests. Ethan's flaw stays buried. Margaret's response. Done, ma'am. Funds transferred. Grace's fist pounded the shelf. This nails them. James cut the tape, his face ashen. Deeper. Genetic reports here. He pulled scans, Ethan's DNA mapped, vulnerabilities circled. She knew the risks, respiratory ties ignored for years. Grace's breath shortened, her son's fate mirroring. Preventable, all of it. Her shove scattered more docs, a photo tumbling. Cassandra with the doctor, intimate, dated pre-Ethan. Blackmail? Grace snarled, thrusting it at Margaret. The woman paled, her denial cut by James. Explain. Margaret's whisper broke. Affair. Doctors her lover. Covered the genetics to hide paternity doubts. The bombshell hit, Grace's knees weakening, but she steadied. Ethan's not James's? James's roar shook the room. Lies! Margaret's laugh bubbled, twisted. Tested. She feared, paid to forge. Grace's slap cracked across her face. Monster! The revelation fueled frenzy, Grace ripping more from the box. Emails, wire transfers, a will draft cutting Ethan out. James's hands shook, tearing a page. She planned to disinherit him. Grace's interruption. Phone, call the PI, confirm. James dialed, speaker on, PI's voice gruff. Tailed her, meets doctor weekly. Overheard, boy's secret dies with us. Grace's fist clenched. Recordings? PI. Sent now. Files pinged in, audio blasting. Cassandra's hiss. If James finds the DNA, we're ruined. Evidence piled, Grace's adrenaline peaking, her cuts throbbing but ignored. Witness list, nurses named. James nodded, calling one. Testify? Voice shaky. Yes, saw her threaten doctors. Grace's triumph surged. Chain complete, neglect, fraud, affair. Margaret's final lunge broke free partially, her teeth sinking into James's hand, blood welling. He yelped, slamming her down. Enough! Grace bound her tighter, rope-biting skin. Police en route. Sirens wailed closer, but Grace pressed. One more, safe's bottom. She pried a false panel, revealing a USB, encrypted, but her hub skills cracked it quickly. Videos of Cassandra berating Ethan, hiding meds. Play, James demanded, screen flickering. Ethan's cries, Cassandra's slap. Grace's stomach churned, her grip on the device iron. Undeniable. James's tears fell silent, rage boiling. She ends tonight. Grace's nod sealed it, evidence bagged, Margaret subdued. As cops burst in, badges flashing, Grace thrust the hall forward. Arrest her, accomplice. Margaret's screams faded as they cuffed her, dragging her out. Grace and James stood amid wreckage, breaths sinking, alliance unbreakable. Wounds bandaged hastily, Grace's arms slung. They raced to the study, compiling all tapes, docs, and calls. Confront Cassandra now? Grace's voice steel. With this, we destroy her. James's agreement fierce. Public, no escape. The cache complete, irrefutable, Grace's heart raced for Ethan, sleeping upstairs unaware. He deserves justice. Sirens receded, but the storm brewed, ready for the final unmasking. You traitorous bitch! I'll ruin you! Cassandra's scream tore through the ballroom, her heels stabbing the floor as she charged Grace, nails extended like claws. Guests gasped, champagne flutes dropping, but Grace stood firm, her bandaged arm raised, evidence USB clutched tight. Ruin! You're already destroyed! Her voice boomed, eyes locked on Cassandra's twisted face, the gala's facade crumbling. James stepped between, his hand shoving Cassandra back. Listen, your lies exposed! He thrust the ledger forward, pages flipping open under spotlights. Cassandra snatched it, her eyes scanning bribes, tapes, and genetics. Fakes. All fakes. But Grace cut her. Play the tape. James hit play on the projector, voices blasting. Cassandra's own hiss. Bury the boy's flaws. Pay them off. The room erupted, murmurs rising to shouts, senators backing away. Cassandra's face drained, her slap aimed at James. You believe her over me? He dodged, his grip on her wrist iron. The doctor confessed. Your affair, the denials. Guests whispered, phones out, recording the meltdown. Grace pressed. Ethan's DNA, hidden to save your skin. Cassandra wrenched free, her laugh manic. He's weak, always was. But the screen flickered to videos, her berating Ethan, hiding meds. A woman gasped, child abuse! Cassandra lunged at the projector, cords ripping, but James yanked her back. Admit it! Grace's demand sliced. The will, disinheriting him. Evidence projected larger, scans glowing, genetic vulnerabilities ignored. Cassandra's denial cracked. For the family, Grace interrupted, her finger jabbing. For you, a fair cover-up. The doctor's taped voice echoed. She threatened me, paternity doubts. James's roar, "He's not mine?" The revelation hit, his knees buckling, but he rose, eyes murderous. Guests encircled, a CEO barking, "Call police!" Cassandra spun, her plea desperate. "James, forgive!" But he cut, "Never! Divorce papers ready." Grace thrust the final doc. Witness statements. Nurses saw it all. Cassandra's claws raked the air, aiming for Grace's throat. But a butler intervened, pinning her arms. The unmasking accelerated, Grace's voice commanding, "Look, wires to Margaret, shredded files recovered." Cassandra's ally in the crowd, a lawyer, tried interrupting. "Hearsay!" But James silenced. "Tapes don't lie." The room turned, backs to Cassandra, her empire shattering. She collapsed to her knees, sobs fake. "Mercy!" Grace knelt close, her whisper lethal. "Mercy? Like you gave Ethan?" The boy's name hung, Ethan's nanny bringing him in, his eyes wide at the chaos. "Mommy!" His voice pierced, Cassandra reaching. "Baby!" But he recoiled into Grace's arms, drawing pad clutched. "No!" Grace holds protective, her glare at Cassandra. "He's safe now!" Police burst in, badges flashing, cuffs clicking on Cassandra's wrists. "You're under arrest. Fraud, neglect." She thrashed. "James, stop this!" But he turned away, his voice cold. "Rot!" As they dragged her, evidence handed over, guests applauded faintly, justice tasting bitter. Grace and James stood amid ruins, Ethan's hand in theirs. "It's over," Grace said, her wounds aching but spirit unbroken. James nodded. "Thanks to you." The ballroom emptied, echoes fading, but victory's weight settled, truth freed at last. Yet loose ends nagged, paternity test pending. Grace's eyes met James's. One more truth. The night closed, resolution dawning. "Rot in hell, you worthless fraud." Cassandra's final curse exploded from the courtroom dock, her chains rattling as she lunged at the judge, eyes wild with hate. The gavel slammed down, wood cracking like thunder, the judge's voice slicing. "Order! Cassandra Whitaker! Guilty on all counts!" Guards yanked her back, her nails scraping metal, but she spat at James. "You'll pay for this!" James stood rigid, his fists clenched white, Ethan's small hand gripping his. "Pay? You've paid nothing for his pain." Grace flanked them, her bandaged arms steady, her glare piercing Cassandra. "Justice now, no more lies." The verdict echoed, fraud, child neglect, evidence tampering, years in prison. Cassandra's scream pierced, "He's not even yours." The paternity bomb dropped, guests murmuring, but James cut her. "DNA confirms, he's mine. Your affair? Irrelevant." Grace's hand on Ethan's shoulder tightened, her voice low. "Quiet, sweetheart." The boy trembled, but his eyes met hers, trust anchoring him. The judge continued, hammer falling. "Assets frozen, custody to James. Margaret, accomplice. 10 years. Margaret, cuffed nearby, snarled, "I served loyally." But Grace interrupted, stepping forward. "Served evil. Rot together." Guards hauled them out, doors banging shut, echoes fading. James's shoulders sagged, relief crashing like waves, his embrace pulling Ethan close. "It's over, son." Grace's nod was firm, her wounds throbbing but ignored. Nuts untied, all of them. The courtroom emptied, lawyers packing files, tapes played, witnesses testifying, doctors breaking, nurses weeping. Cassandra's web dismantled, bribes traced, secrets aired. James's lawyer slapped his back. "Clean win." But James brushed off. "For him, not me." Outside, flashes blinded, reporters shoving mics. "Mr. Whitaker, comment." James's voice boomed. "Justice served. My son heals now." Grace shielded Ethan, her arm protective, whispering, "Strong, like always." The boy's nod, crayon in pocket, sparked hope. Cassandra's van sped away, her face pressed to the glass, glare defeated. Back home, loose ends snapped. Safe emptied, files to authorities. Grace's call to hub. Funds incoming, reparations. James signed checks, his pen slashing, for the kids she ignored. Ethan's drawing session resumed, lines mending fractures. Grace's heart swelled, her resolve steel. No more shadows. The day closed, verdicts sealing fates. James's hug engulfed Grace. Thank you, her response was curt. For family. Ethan smiled faintly, the first in weeks. Peace settled, but rebuilding loomed. Wounds to heal, trust to forge. As night fell, Grace's fingers traced scars, justice's bite lingering. But light dawned, redemption's path clear. You owe these kids more than regrets. Fund them now! Grace's demand thundered in the boardroom, her fists slamming the table, eyes locked on James as executives shifted uncomfortably, ties loosening. James rose, his chair scraping back, voice booming. She's right. Billions wasted on lies. Redirect it all. He thrust a proposal forward, pages flipping. New foundation. Autism support. Therapies free. Grace cut him, her bandaged hand gesturing sharply. Not just money. Build centers. In Harlem, nationwide. James nodded fiercely, his pen slashing signatures. Done. Groundbreaking next week. The room buzzed, aides scrambling, phones dialing donors. Grace's resolve burned, her son's memory fueling. Classes, art therapy, Ethan's everywhere thrive. James interrupted her vision. Lead it. Director title, yours. Grace's jaw set, her refusal swift. Co-lead. We're partners. He agreed, his handshake iron, alliance sealed. Funds poured. Whitaker Empire assets liquidated. Million funneled. Clinics rising. Specialists hired. Grace's call to hub. Expand, new wing for kids. Volunteers cheered, her voice commanding, start building. The launch exploded. Ribbon cut, cameras flashing, Ethan's small hand on the scissors. For you, James whispered, Ethan's nod shy but strong. Grace addressed the crowd. No more hidden pains. Healing starts here. Applause roared, donors pledging more. Her scars hidden under sleeves but spirit bare. James's next strike, company policy overhaul. Mandate screenings, employees' families covered. Board resisted. Costs, but he cut or resign. Changes rolled, therapies integrated, Ethan's story shared in memos, anonymous but powerful. Grace's input sliced, trained staff, empathy first. Workshops launched, her leading, voice fierce. See the strength, not flaws. Personal redemption deepen. James in therapy with Ethan, sessions raw. I failed you, he confessed, Ethan's hug tight. Now, Grace observed, her nod approving. Better. She organized family days, drawings, games. Ethan laughing freely, his flaps embraced. You're perfect, she affirmed, his smile lighting her fire. Scale grew. Partnerships with hospitals, doctors from the scandal retrained or ousted. Grace's lawsuit push, sue for reforms. Winds mounted, laws mandating disclosures. Her testimony thundering, no child buried. James funded lobbies, his voice in Congress, change now. Community rippled. Harlem hub transformed, murals of resilience rising. Grace's classes overflowed, kids drawing storms into rainbows. Your turn, she urged a boy, his lines bold. James visited, his donation check massive. For them. Grace's thanks curt. Action speaks. Ethan's progress soared. Therapy's unlocking words, his first full sentence. Love you, Grace. Her throat tightened, embrace fierce. Always. James watched, guilt easing, his vow silent. Redeem fully. Global outreach, online portals, free resources, videos of Ethan's art inspiring thousands. Grace's webinar, Fight Neglect, Tools Here. Views exploded, donations flooding in. James's speech at the gala, From Ashes, Hope. Guests stood, clapping, his empire repurposed. Personal ties strengthened. Grace moving in, guardian official. Family, James declared, her nod warm. Dinners shared, laughter echoing once silent halls. Ethan's bedtimes, stories of strength, his eyes bright. Final push, scholarship fund, named for Grace's son. Honor him, James insisted. She accepted, tears bitten back. Yes, awards poured. but Grace shrugged. For the kids, the movement snowballed across the nation, and lives were transformed. Grace's fire undimmed, her scars badges. Hope bloomed, redemption's fruit ripening. As centers opened, Grace's hand on Ethan's. Your world now. Light ahead, legacies building. You'll never erase what I've built. It's mine. Cassandra's ghostly echo from prison tapes faded as James hit stop, his fist unclenching for the first time in months, eyes on Ethan splashing paint across a massive canvas in the sunlit studio. Grace charged in, her sleeves rolled, voice commanding, "Add blue! Storm to calm!" Ethan grinned, brush flying, his once silent world bursting with color. James rose, his embrace pulling Grace close. "This, our family." She nodded sharply, her hand ruffling Ethan's hair. "Earned it." The mansion transformed. No more cold marble, walls alive with drawings, therapy rooms buzzing. Ethan's words flowed freer. "Love this." Grace's heart swelled, her scars faint badges of battles won. The foundation thrived. Centers nationwide. Kids like Ethan thriving in art classes, therapies unlocking potentials. Grace led a session. Draw your strength. A girl's lines bolden, her whisper, "Like you." Grace's grip on the crayon tightened. "We all fight." James funded expansions, his speeches thundering, "No child hidden, ever." Donors surged, lives mended. Personal bonds deepened. Dinners shared, laughter echoing. James knelt to Ethan. "Proud, son." The boy's hug is fierce. "Daddy, too." Grace watched, her vow silent. Protect always. Paternity confirmed. James's blood undeniable sealed their unit. "Ours," Grace affirmed, her role motherly, official. Global impact rippled. Online portals reaching remote families, free resources downloaded thousands. Grace's webinar, "Overcome Neglect, Steps Here." Viewers' message, "Saved us." James's corporate shifts, policies mandating support, employees' kids screened, stigma shattered. "Lead by example," he barked at the board, "or out." Ethan's first exhibit opened, galleries packed, his abstracts selling, proceeds to the fund. "My storms," he explained, voice steady. Critics raved, Grace's pride beaming. "Your voice." James bought the first piece, Home. Media swarmed, from scandal to triumph. Grace's interview cut sharply. Justice births hope. Challenges lingered. Therapy setbacks, Ethan's episodes, but tools armed them. Breathing, drawing, unity. Grace's late-night talks with James. We grow. His nod. Together. Harlem ties strengthened, hub renamed after her son, classes overflowing. Honor through action, Grace declared, kids cheering. A year marked. Anniversary gala, not opulent but heartfelt. Families sharing stories. Ethan spoke. Grace saved me. Tears flowed, her embrace tight. You saved yourself. James announced, billion committed, global centrist. Applause thundered, hope tangible. Lessons crystallize, love over image, strength and vulnerability. Grace to a struggling parent. Fight, truth heals. James's memoir draft, blindness costs, see your child. Ethan's journal, family chooses you. Subplots resolved. Margaret's appeals denied, her silence broken in therapy letters. Regret. Doctor reformed, volunteering at centers. Atonement. Nurses honored, their testimonies textbooks now. Final scene. Trio on canvas, painting a rainbow family. Ethan's laugh. Perfect. Grace's whisper. Yes. James's arm around them. Forever. The brushstrokes blended, storms to serenity. Lesson etched. Compassion conquers deceit. Rebuilding from ruins, forges unbreakable bonds. Hope endures, lighting paths for all. In the end, this story reminds us that true strength lies in compassion and understanding, transcending barriers of class, race, and prejudice. Justice isn't just about punishing the wrongdoers. It's about rebuilding lives and creating a brighter future for the vulnerable, proving that love and empathy can heal even the deepest wounds. What are your thoughts? Have you faced similar challenges or witnessed acts of quiet heroism? Share your stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and build a community of inspiration. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay kind and keep believing in the power of change. Shunei